The Failure of Technology by Friedrich Georg Jünger. Chapter 1. The Literature of a Danger Zone. Stories of mechanical utopias, as a glance at literature shows, are far from rare. On the contrary, there are so many of them, and they find readers so readily that one is justified in assuming a general need for literature of this sort. It could be asked why it is that the machine in particular furnishes so much stuff to the mind of utopian turn. In former times, such a mind found its inspiration in the state, and the book that has given its name to the whole species, Thomas More's De Optima Republicae Statu, De Que Nova Insula Utopia, was a tale of the state. The changed subject matter reflects a change in the interests of the readers of such tales. Their interest is not aroused by what is accomplished, final, and completely within our grasp. It is satisfied neither with the past nor with the present. It turns to the possibilities of the future. It feeds on what might happen. The utopian tale demands an image capable of rational development and expansion, and the most serviceable image of this nature that can be found today is the machine. There is no other that could offer competition, for even a social utopia would lose its glamorous appeal if it were not based on technical progress. Without this basis, it would carry no conviction. The utopian writer is neither prophet nor visionary, not even when his predictions have come true. No one will look for prophetic gifts in a Jules Verne or a Bellamy, for they lack almost everything that makes a prophet. Most of all, they lack the vocation, the call, and with it also the necessary wisdom, and the language in which this wisdom speaks. At best, they make a lucky guess that something will happen. They play with the imaginary. They play with the future. But it can never have for them the certainty it has for him who thinks and lives in religious terms. What they project into the future is merely a possibility emerging in the present, expanded by them in a logical and rational manner. Nor would it be fair to demand more of them. From prophecies and visions we expect infallibility, that they come true with absolute certainty. But of a utopian tale we demand no more than a certain appearance of credibility. It must satisfy our intellect by a measure of probability. For what is entirely incredible and unlikely produces only boredom and discomfort. It is not worth bothering with. The fantasy, therefore, which would attract our notice and our interest, will do well to appeal to our intellect. It must sway us by its coherence, by its consistency, by the intellectual detachment of its argument. He who wants to lend probability to the improbable must do it by his soberness of presentation and by the baldness of his style. And those indeed are generally the means by which the writers of utopias lure us, whether they carry us to the moon or to the center of the earth or to some other spot. In order to conceal the fantastic nature of their fantasies, they call in science. Just what, then, makes a tale utopian? It is the blending of things that cannot blend, the going beyond limitations, the drawing of unjustified conclusions from premises that clash. The rule, a posse ad esse non valet consequentia, a conclusion from the possible to the actual is not valid, is not respected here. But when we examine such a utopia, a technological novel, for instance, we find that its utopian nature does not lie, as one might think, in the technical theme which the author develops. A writer who tells us of cities with moving streets where every house is a perfect residential mechanism, every roof has an airport, every housewife receives provisions in her kitchen through an unfailing system of tubes, who assures us that these cities are built of a substance which glows gently in the dark, and that the silken garments worn there are made from refuse or from cottage cheese, that writer is not yet truly utopian. For all this, whether it will be achieved or not lies within the possibilities of technical organization. We are content to state that such contrivances are possible, and disregard for the time the question of what would be gained if such a state were reached. The tale becomes utopian only when the writer leaves the sphere of technical organization, when, for instance, he tries to make us believe that these cities are inhabited by better and more perfect human beings, that envy, murder, and adultery are unknown, that neither law nor a police force is needed, for in so doing he steps outside the technical scheme within which he is spinning his fantasies, and combines it in a utopian manner with something different and alien, which can never be developed out of the scheme itself. This is why Bellamy is more of a utopian than Jules Verne. The latter sticks closer to the technological scheme. A social utopian like Fourier believed in all seriousness that, if only his theories were accepted and applied, the very salt water of the sea would turn into sweet lemonade, and the whales would cheerfully harness themselves to the ships. Thus he ascribed to his ideas power mightier than the song of Orpheus, and this even after his model community, La Réunion, had broken down. Such exuberance of the mind is ridiculous, unless one happens to be among those who are ruined by it. And yet, any system rounded enough to awaken a response in our minds needs a grain of utopian salt. The theory of Comte furnishes an example. We see it more clearly today when positivism is everywhere on the retreat, and even has to surrender its hereditary possessions in the various sciences. Apparently, we have already passed through that third and highest stage of human evolution, the positive one, which Comte pretended to have achieved for himself and for his theory, and his motto, see in order to foresee in order to forestall, is no more valid today than the whole natural hierarchy of sciences he erected. There is something separatistic about Comte's theory. At its bottom, there is a certainty that we have lost. When life enters into new zones of danger, all things change, the observer as well as the observations. Positivism is always an occupation for settled times.